starting to drop down. We're getting down in the 60 degrees, so it's starting to feel cool and it's starting to feel like fall. So I want to give you guys a rundown of some of the stuff that I like to pack for a hunting trip with my dogs. You know, obviously this can vary with a lot of people. This just gives you a good idea of some of the things that I like to take. For right here I've got kind of a first aid box. Yeah, you can use anything you want to hold your stuff in it. You know, some of the things I like to keep some latex gloves. I've got like some wrap. You know, this is pretty typical stuff. I've got some bleed stop in case they do get cut. You've got a big gauge in their chest or in their sides. You know, you want to be prepared for worst case scenarios. So we've got that. I've got some kind of a waterproof tape. I'll use this, especially if we're in the field and I need to get it wrapped up and I can't keep it dry immediately. So I'll kind of throw this in my bag just in case. Then obviously I've got some hydrogen peroxide. Let's see, we've got some saline solution. We've got some pain and burn and itch spray, just knock anything off if something happens. Then we've got some ear cleanser. Obviously, with Boykin Spaniels, they're very known for having ear infections. So, you know, I won't do it every time, but after a long weekend of hunting, what I'll do is I'll kind of get this stuff right here, flush their ears out, try to dry it out as best as I can. Good to go. One of the things I want to run by on hydrogen peroxide that a lot of people don't realize. Hydrogen peroxide, let's say your dog eats something that they're not supposed to, whether it's chocolate, anything that you know that they're not supposed to, and you see them do it. Take some hydrogen peroxide, fill up a bottle cap, and just try to get as much down their throat, about a bottle cap or a thimble size. And you'll immediately start seeing them, they'll start gagging and they'll throw everything up that they've got in their stomach. So this stuff can really save you if you know that they eat something that they weren't supposed to. So get you some of this, throw it in your bag, take it to your camp, and it'll help. Let's see what else we got. Next, what I'm going to show you too is normally we're going for you know, a long weekend. We're out for a long period of time running dogs and hunting. And so one of the things I like to do, instead of just taking a dog and throwing them in a kennel for a whole weekend or 4 or 5 days at a time, this right here is a gang line. It's called a gang line because you got a gang of dogs. This one right here has got eight tie outs on it. You can stake it on each end. Allows you to tie your dog out right here. So, you know, obviously you're probably not going to need 8 of these. You know, Gun Dog Supplies sells these too. That's where I got this one, and I think you can get them down to 3 or 4 at a time, so they work great. You know, check them out. You know, you can make one of these yourself. One of the things I try to say on using gang lines is make sure that they can't choke themselves. You want to make sure that they've got swivels, and you don't want to give them too much cord to where they can get tangled in a tree. You know, there's tons of terrible accidents where that can happen, and you know, that's something you need to be thinking about if you are going to use a gang line. Next, whenever we get to camp, obviously I'm taking multiple dogs at a time. So one of the things, I take a lot of food with me. I use this bucket. You can take anything you want, but this right here, it keeps it dry. I kind of keep my food in the bottom. So I got my food in the bottom of it. I like to use this right here. This comes with that bucket. It's pretty much just kind of like an insert thing that you can use. Something that's really nice is I put water on this side and I'll fill food right here on this other side. So it's super mobile, it's easy to throw around, it's light, very efficient, works good. Obviously you can take a regular bowl with you. The bowls work good, but for us, most of the time we're on the go. We're on the go. We're not staying in the camp most of the time. We're hunting public and we're bouncing all over the state. So, this works, but for us, we don't really use bowls a ton. Next, one of the things I like to use is kind of like just a trampoline placemat. We use this not only for hunting, for when we take it on a hunting trip. We use this at the camp. We use it for our dogs that are in their kennels. This right here is so nice for dogs, especially dogs that chew or dig. It keeps them elevated, it keeps them cool, and it kind of gives them that spot. We also use these for place training, so they work really well. And they're great training. It also gives them a designated spot. Obviously when you go to a camp, you don't want your dog running around and bugging everybody at the camp. So get you one of these, are pretty nice. All right. On to hunting. One of the things that I like to use, and when I go hunting, I take 2 stands with me at all times. This right here is just a regular Momar stand. You know, it's got the 4 legs, it retracts, comes in and out. It's got plenty of room. I really like it because it gives me the opportunity where I can sit on with my dog. It allows me to control him, and I can sit here and make sure that I know that he's all right, I'm all right. We can watch ducks, especially if you've got a young dog. It gives you the opportunity to sit next to your dog and help them watch birds, help them understand what's going on. The reason I take 2 stands, this is the other one I like to take. This is an Avery Boomer stand. You know, this is super light and compact. You can take this, obviously you can wrap it up. You know, a lot of these spots we're hunting is public, we're hiking in, we're having to walk a long ways, so these are super lightweight. You know, I can fit this in the front hatch of my boat. You know, obviously you can see how lightweight it is. So it gives you a ton of room. You just kick it on the tree, and you can take this chain and wrap it around your tree. It's got a little hole and a slot right there where you can kick back. Got a nice little platform for your dog. Unfortunately, there's not enough room for you to sit on it as well, so you'll have to figure something else out. One of the downfalls of these stands also is if you're hunting in a big cypress swamp. You know, the cypress trees, the trees are really big at the bottom, and you know, they kind of taper up and get skinny at the top. And what happens is it really doesn't work well with these stands because of the way that it's built. So you know, if you're hunting next to a cypress tree or something, I'll use this right here, so it works out good. This right here, this is a wet mutt mat. You know, there's a ton of different companies that sell these things. These things work really well, especially if you're hunting in a spot like in a rice field, a bean field, or something where your dog does not have a dog box, it does not have a platform, they're going to be hunting on the ground. You know, with an older dog, they really aren't going to need this, but for a young dog, you've been teaching place training, you should be training with something like this. It gives them the opportunity to stick it by your side, and you can take it with you. It's not bulky, and your dog knows that that's their place, that's where they need to deliver the birds to, and that's where they need to stay whenever you take your shot. One of the things that I like to use, you know, sometimes with young dogs too, is I try to take every opportunity to train my dogs, even when I'm hunting. You know, obviously if you've got a big group of guys and you're hunting, you know, you want to be respectful and mindful of your other guys. Sit. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to be bugging and be a burden. But if you got some guys that understand, I like to take some of these with me and maybe throw you a couple marks and just kind of reenact a hunting scenario. Use these right here just because it gives the dog the idea of what they're marking, what they're looking for. And I try to do this with every dog and every time I get out. Makes it fun for the dog. You know, you don't want to take the dog out even if you don't kill any birds. You want to make it fun, and obviously we take these and use those to kind of keep things fun. Also, we're hunting in cold weather. One of the things that I really like to use, you know, I try not to use this too much, but there are some mornings, especially when it starts getting below the 30s, it gets in the 20s. I like to take this just in case. You know, this is just, you know, worst case scenario if something happens. You know, obviously your dog is going to get cold, but let's say you get stuck out there. Let's say your boat breaks down, your dog needs to warm up. When you get down in the teens and in the 20s, you're going to be really glad that you have one of these to sit. Also gives you the opportunity to have a hook where you can hook it on a tree, and you can just kind of set up your hook where it's right there next to your dog on your stand, so that gives them some heat and it allows them to, you know, kind of warm up their body temp. More importantly, it's also going to help melt the ice off of their hair. You know, Boykin's hair is going to freeze up quite a bit, and that's, you know, if you're not staying steady on the birds, that's what's going to happen, and that's what's going to cause them to get cold. So, one of the things that I really want to highlight is the transportation of my dogs. You know, if I've only taken a couple dogs at a time, I'm using these Gunner kennels. If I've got a lot of dogs, I've got a dog trailer that I load everybody else up in. It's very important when you're purchasing a kennel that you get the right size for your dog. I get asked all the time, what size kennel do I run? And I run mediums for all of my dogs. None of my dogs sleep in my kennels. They don't stay in there. They don't stay there for countless hours throughout the day. I use these kennels for transportation. And you got to think about the more area that the dog can bang around in, the more harmful it's going to be on them. So the mediums are the perfect fit to allow them to get inside of it, turn around, lay down, and they can stand completely up. You know, you might see their head kind of drop down a little bit. Sit. You might see their head drop down a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. But you know, it still gives them plenty of room and to navigate, and also whenever we're transporting, they're perfectly safe and they're helpful. So